Hello and welcome to this next part of the Project Takmeel, and we are covering now about Azure Devops. So here in the project settings page, there are things like general settings, board settings, pipeline, repos and artifacts, and also the test, right? So we'll focus on the board settings here, because in general if you just go through here, it's a kind of overview about the project and what are the services which you want to turn it on for this particular project. And if you want to add another administrator, you can add it here, and also if you want to delete the project, you can delete from here. And on the teams tab, what we have options like how many people are there in the team, if you want to create a team, and you can add the members here, and also you can assign the roles for those members. And here the permission. So these are all the roles available on this DevOps: build administrator, contributors, project administrators, build valid users, readers, and Project Takmeel teams. This is the one which you have created. So if you want to give access to any of these roles for each and every member of the project, you can give that. So here's a description of each and every role. You can just go through this and then add the users. And the next tab is the notification, how you want to get the notifications. If you want to add any kind of service hooks, you can add that, and how you want to build your dashboard for each and every person or at the project level. So let's quickly go to this project configurations. So usually if you see here on the top, it shows here on the boards, this project is currently using the agile process. To customize your work item types, go to this project customization page. So basically this is called agile process, right? So like we discussed in our earlier videos that we have agile, basic, scrum and CMMI types. So here right now we are following agile process, and agile is basically consist of sprint we need to add into that. So here create and manage iterations for this project. These iterations will be used by teams for iterating planning, sprint planning. So in the scrum it's called as sprint, but here it's called as iterations. So basically the iterations will be like of 1 week or 2 weeks time period, and before initiating any project we need to create those iterations, because we need to define when we are going to start the project and when we are going to deliver that project, right? Without this kind of high level overview, we can't able to work on the project. And obviously it also depends on the customer approval and also the financial situations, right? So here basically by default it creates 1, 2, 3 iterations, and you can select the date range here. And for this one, for example iteration 2, you can click on set date. Here I just started as 31st of October to 11th of December, sorry, 12th of November. And if I click on this one for iteration 2, you can rename it here if you want. And here I'm selecting the date here, this to be like from 13th of November to 24th of November. It has taken automatically about these things till 24th of November, but I want to change the date here from 13 till I want this to be 26th, and this should be location under this one. If you want to create a sub iteration, child iteration, you can also do that. So click on close here, and for these third iterations I'm selecting 27th of November till this should be December 10th, and close. And now if I click on new here, this is going to be the 4th iteration. So this starting date to be 11th of December and ends at 24th of December. Close here. And now if I want to add a new child, for example for child, and here I'm just going to add in between to these dates, just for example. So this should be like from December 11 to 17th of December, just 1 week of the December. And you see here the location is actually going through this iteration 4, and click on save. It has created a sub child here. So this is how you can create iterations now. And now if you go to this team configuration, so first of all we have, like if you are working on agile process, then it has about this backlogs we need to create. See only the backlogs your team manages, backlog navigation level, So you want to also see the epic, feature and storage, or you just want to see the feature and storage. And I can also tick on this one. And also the working days, capacity and burn down are based on these days on your team works. So basically we used to work only from Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday is off, then it is turned off here. If you are in a place that you have like 6 days of working, then you need to tick also this Saturday here. If you are working in a Gulf countries where usually Friday and Saturday are holidays, then you can also change your timings here, dates here. So but for now I'm just selecting Monday to Friday. And also here working with bugs. So set your team's preference for how they manage bugs. So bugs are managed with requirements, bugs are managed with tasks, bugs are not managed in backlogs and boards. So basically task is the best one to manage bugs for me. So I'll also keep the same thing here, which is the default one. And the third one is we have Git integration, GitHub integration. So if you want to integrate your Agile into Git, you can also connect through that. So that's it about these settings of the project. We'll go through other things here while we are working on that particular part during our entire project phase. I don't want to cover everything all at once here because we are not going to use them right now. So let's quickly jump into these boards here, because right now we are working on boards. If I click here, then recently it doesn't show anything here because we have not added any task here. So basically, first of all, we need to click work item here, and then we need to click on our backlogs. So basically backlogs is a user story here. You can click on the user story here and epic feature. So if you want to create, you can also create here. So let's quickly create epic here, just as a high level thing for us. So project is the gate entry for us, which is Project Takmeel, and for example, and now we need to create a new epic here, which is solution architect, for example. So here in our case, I'm just going to create each and every role as an epic here, because we are going to split that, but you can also do it in a different way to add those epic into your project DevOps. So this is going to be this one, and when you are going to plan this one, you can also select the iterations here. So I'm going to use this in the first iterations because here I need to finish it off the architecture part. And what is the status of this one? So here the status is showing as new, not started, active work items to be done, resolve, awaiting acceptance, test and close. So this is the first step, which is the new here, and the reason is also the new here. Alright, so now you can also assign it to someone else here. I think we are discussed about the roles and responsibility for each and every user in our previous video. Let me just quickly open up that. Okay, I'm going to add a senior engineer, which we have as a solution architect itself for this project. So I will take Johanna Lawrence for this one, for example. So it will be like user unassigned to be Johanna Lawrence for this role, and then click on save. So now if we go to this backlog thing here, it will give us the list of available what we have created so far. So right now you see the product theme backlog, and inside to that we have iteration 1, 2 and 3, and here we have like 10 days remaining for this work to be done, and also about 10 working days for this entire sprint iterations, and this is the current iteration which you are working on. So if you want to add a new item to this one, you can click on to this one here, and starts as user story. So basically in agile process we also call this as a backlog item, right? So it's similar to this one here. I'm going to add that backlog item here, which is basically design overall structure. So you have option of add to top or add at selection. I'm just keeping it add to top here, and if you want to add multiple things inside to that, you can also do that here. So here I'm quickly adding few of them here, and the next thing is what we can do is, for example, I'm going to use existing data gate entry screen. This is useful for Power Apps, and here if I click on to this one, we have option, we can assign it to whom if you want. And this is basically the Power Apps. We are going to design it to Grady Archie here. And if I come back here, click here and assign to, and this is the user here. For overall structure, we are going to assign it to Johanna Lawrence here. And now we have assigned this to the user, and both of them are in iteration 1. Okay, so here we have option of column options, whatever the things which you want to add here. I'm going to add the users also here, assigned user. So assign to, and then click on OK. So here on the board itself, we are going to see that assign to name here. Yeah, here. So this is the iterations here. I will just close this option. Okay, so now we have entire screen here. And the next thing here, if you want to add something else inside to this backlog item, if you want to add something as a task, you can also add that here. So quickly adding this one, which is basically the new task I'm going to assign. And if I just here existing data get entry screen, which is the parent one, and inside to that I want to add like screen design for existing data available. This is just an example, and here the state is also new, and this is also I'm going to assign it to this user. And if you want to add any kind of descriptions to that particular task, and if you want to add any kind of communication with other users, then also you can do that using this discussion tab. And here we have option of save and close. Let me save and close here. It's going to add a new task inside to this backlog item user story. Okay, so the next thing what we have here is, if you want to add more of these work items, we can also add that. But if you want to view this as a board, you can click on the view as a board. It's going to view as a board itself here. So now new, active, resolved and closed options here. This is what we have, and these are the tasks which we have defined here. And if I click on this view options, so it's turned on. But here in the stories, we have epic, features and stories, right? So we are just at the stage of stories. That's what we are seeing up here. If you click on epic here, then whatever the epics which we have created is going to show up here. So we just created solution architect, there's one epic, so that's why it's showing up here. But looking at high level is not going to help us. I think the feature is also not going to help us. It's only this stories level which you can help. So I'm going to add this story here. So these are the two story which I created. If I click on new item, I can also click here, and here I'm going to use as existing data import. This is going to be helpful for the data engineer actually. So here in our case, data engineer is basically the same person which is Johanna Lawrence here. So I'm going to assign this to this Johanna Lawrence. If I click on this one, it's going to open up in a new window. Here it's also I'm going to assign to the same person, and this is the status of this project. And now you see we have new, active, resolved, closed and removed. So what are these steps actually refers to, right? So new is basically the thing which you are creating as a task or user story. So it means this DevOps manager is actually creating each and every user story, epic and features kind of thing. So, and then they have assigned you as a user for this particular task, particular user story. But you are not aware of multiple things. What are the things you need to do inside to that? Let's say, for example, this situation is existing data import. It means you don't know what you need to import, right? There is a message that you need to import the data, from where you need to import and how much data you need to import, what are the frequencies you need to import. So these are the things which will happen only if you are get into team together in a daily sprint meeting. You can discuss on all about these things here, because usually this kind of iterations and sprint meetings happens once in a 2-week time. So you can discuss everything together, what you're going to do on the upcoming weeks. During that time you can discuss about these things, what is that existing data import means. So the person who is responsible, like the solution architect, who is going to explain you about this is the data available with us in this particular system, and from there you need to import the data as a one-time job or as a schedule basis, blah blah blah. So they can assign you, they can tell you about things how you need to do. If you're okay to do all this kind of thing, if you clarified all your doubts, then you need to change the status from new to active. right? So this is the status we need to work on. And then you can, if you have already closed, worked on all those things, then you can set it to be resolved. If it is completely done, you can click on close this one. If they have created some any task which is not useful, then you can click on remove. It's going to remove the status of this task. So now I'm going to click on save and close. But before to that, here we have this planning and the priority. So we need to set up a priority, at what priority we are going to set up here, and here the value about which comes here into the organizational, into the architecture or in the business sector. So click on save. So there are a couple of multiple things available here on site to DevOps. It's not in one single thing we can explain within the single video. I can say it's a really big thing here. So I'm going to cover in this part of this project what is related to this project here, right? So you can get at least a high level overview of the things which is going to work on this project. So this is example stories which I have added here, and also the tasks which I have added here. So, and the next thing here is if I go to this backlogs, so now you can see existing data import here, and this is the user, existing data entry here, and if I expand to this one, we have this here. So if you want to add some item here, like if I'm going to add here, so build a Power BI report. Here we can just add at a selection here where we are keeping up here. If you want to add a bottom here, we can add inside to that. Okay, now you can just drag and drop also at the bottom here to realign the priority here. So order 1, 2, 3, 4 is a priority 1, and here if you want to change this into a different iterations, you can also select here. I'm going to do this at the third iterations, and then what it is, the user. So here the user for this one is the designer, I can say. So this is the one, and the developer is for the Power Apps actually. So I need to change the user here. So Muller is the Power Apps developer, Grande Archi is the designer of Power BI. So here I'm going to assign this to Grande Archi, save and close. For the Power Apps thing, design the get entry system, this has to be a different user. Selecting on this one, we can just change the user from here. This one, save here. I think one more, which is this one, the task. We need to change the user to this one and save and close. So that's it. So we have this one. We have developed all these things, and if you click on the sprint here, it's going to show us the sprint which we have created is as this one. So right now we are on iteration 1, we have iteration 2 and iteration 3 here. If you want to add a new one, we can also show up here. So let's click on this one. As you can see here, it shows the status of the current, future and future, right? If you click here, if there is something which we have added here, it is going to come up here. I think for Power BI we had it on sprint 3, yeah, it's showing up here. But here we are now in iteration 1, and here's the one. So new, active, resolved and close. So if you are started to working on this one, you can also move the status from this to this status, and then from this to this one, and then from close. So these are the status we can do, and this is a backlog view, different types of view we can see it here, and the capacity. So you can define the capacity for each and every person, how many hours they are going to work on. So there are cases like if you're working in a real-time project, so these are the persons which is available in your company, but they might have already working on a different project. So on a approximate daily basis, they are not available as a full time like 8 hours for this particular project. They may be available like 2 hours in the project or 4 hours in the project. So it depends on how much they are going to work on this project, right? So that's the one which you need to mention here in order to plan accordingly about the resource availability. So there are many default view available on site to this here on the left side what we have seen so far, but if you further want to get the data from this DevOps additionally, then you can also make your own query here. You can write up here. And now lastly we have this delivery plan. If you want to create a new one, let's click a new plan and give it a name here, get entry plan, delivery plan here, and this is the project and this is the team, and the backlog item is what we are selecting at here is the epic for example, and then click on create. So it shows that we have iteration 1, 2 and iteration 3, and these are the dates, and these are the epic level which is showing up here. Because we have not used the story level, we are just created on epic level, so that's why it's showing up here. If you started the plan based on the stories, then it's going to show up based on the story here. Alright, so these are the things which comes up as a backlog item. Even though I just created only a few one, it's just to understand about how we need to create at a high level. If you want to know something in detail about what are the other things which we are going to cover on these DevOps, please let me know in the comment section below. In our upcoming sessions, in upcoming videos of this series, we are going to discuss about much more detail into the SQL Server, and then we'll move on to Power Apps and then to Power BI. So still a lot to come. Please bear with me, and thank you so much for your patience. If you like this project series, please let me know in the comment section below. Your comments are highly recommended, highly valuable to me in order to move further on this project. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks for watching on this one. If you like this video, just click on the big thumbs up button. If you are new to this channel, or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. But make sure you turn on the notification on your devices. Share it with your friends and colleagues. If you have any queries and feedback, just post it on the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Keep learning. See you in the next video.